we've been hearing a lot about China and Taiwan. And there's a couple charts that are out there that shows you just how much of the global semiconductor market is held by Taiwan. And there's one very large company out there, Taiwan Semiconductor Company. And it is really stark when you see that some 75% of the world's semiconductors are coming out of Taiwan, which means people are asking, well, China trying to get Taiwan back, isn't that they think it's their historical part of their land is that island, Taiwan, and Chiang Kai-shek, who went there, all this political stuff that happened, and he was banished, and isn't this like a historical governance and, you know, sovereign land question? Well, it may be, but the other side of it is, it may be showing that I think China wants market share of semiconductors. And if you think it's a problem with TikTok, where they, through software, they can see what's going on other places of your phone, and we just had big congressional hearings about that 2 weeks ago, we saw 3 weeks ago, we saw the CEO of TikTok basically telling stories to Congress, and none of them, Democrats, Republicans, Independent, none of them are buying it. If you think that's a problem with getting content from other places on your phone with TikTok, imagine what it is if China takes Taiwan and controls 70% of the world's semiconductors. Do you think there's going to be spyware or the opportunity for problems with that? You bet. But guess what is happening? I thought it was very interesting. Japan announced that they are making an 80% increase year over year in chip making infrastructure. In other words, everybody is saying, whoa, we need to be moving to a different level of investment so that we can be a player. At the same time, the United States says they're making a 24% increase, and we've heard stories about chip factories going to be built here in the United States. And then you also have South Korea says they're going to make a 41% increase in their investment in chip making. So these are called fabs, F-A-B. And the chip fabs is fabrication plants. So this is where the West is saying, you know what? Taiwan is our friend. There's great companies that are there that are making chips for us, but we got to hedge our bets here and we got to invest. This is going to be very good. If nothing happens in Taiwan, it's going to be good for global infrastructure in terms of reducing reliance on any one area. Even if Taiwan is not taken over, it'll help the pricing of chips. Competition is always good, and more resource. So as I was reading this, I was thinking about it, and it really made me think about kind of the small businesses in America, about how you can become reliant on another, on a supplier really easily. And you have to be paying attention to what's up with that supplier. Costs could go up, they could have union strike, there's all kinds of things that can happen. And this is that on steroids, as countries are realizing that government may be needed to help with this massive investment in chip making semiconductor infrastructure to help mitigate the effect of a Chinese takeover of Taiwan, which we can see all over the weekend, Easter weekend. They were doing live invasion air drills that was making everybody new it. The Chinese, were doing these live invasion drills over there, air drills, preparing to take Taiwan back. Or they're just out there, you know, rattling the saber, as they say, you know. But it's a little nerve-wracking when you see that. So this is basically countries saying, hey, we're going to help our countries and our companies that are here invest in semiconductors so it's there. And the corollary is, it doesn't have to be a war that China may start to go take Taiwan for you to look at your company and saying, who is out there that I need to mitigate in terms of a key supplier? Is it raw materials like plastic beads that you melt down to make your products? Is it raw aluminum? What is it? It could be anything. What's interesting is I happen to know something about the music industry, and there's all kinds of chips that are in music instruments now, synthesizers, pedals, amps. There's they have chips everywhere, and they have companies out there that have been running around during COVID trying to find companies and folks that are maybe willing to build certain other chips that are going to help mitigate supply pinches. And there's a lot of those going on now. And these are $2, $3, $4 million, like a pedal company or a small boutique amp company. It's all in there. And speaking of amp companies, amps rely on these things called tubes. And there's only a few places in the world that make tubes. One of them's in the middle of Russia. And so what happens if you lose access to that? So this really comes home pretty quick when you think of yourself and saying, what do I need to do in my company, my life, to make sure that I am, ready for, a shortage in supply except at some point. And so that's what I thought in terms of the chip situation.